Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. It's the Stars and Stripes Racing Series Season 7 playoff action. As tonight, it's the cutoff race of the round of 12 to figure out which drivers will move on to the Elite 8. And the 4 that won't in tonight's race, it's the Next Level Racing 250 in Charlotte. One of the longer races we're going to have here this season. What a racetrack to have it at. Charlotte Motor Speedway, a good one for these Gen 4 cars as the drivers are currently underway with qualifying. We're excited to have you with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is Zach Hall. Zach last week had Rockingham. Chris World got his first ever win and the only driver locked into the next round. Tonight, though, seems to be a different story. A lot of drivers looking to move on to the next round of the playoffs.
It is going to be a fun night, Sam, I think. With really the point situation we're looking at here coming into tonight, there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, you look to the guy who's all the way the farthest out, which would be Thomas Ogle coming into tonight. He's 12th in points, ladies and gentlemen, and he's 7 points only out. I mean, you don't have stages here to, gain tons of points here, Stars and Stripes, but you do have the ability to, with the field size we have here, to gain that many points, Sam. So it's really wide open for anybody to point their way in, and also that win's always there available to be a for sure way to get in.
Yeah, the field size, due to the fact that it is enlarged for tonight's race, it's enabled some of these drivers that maybe felt like they didn't have a chance to point their way forward to have that chance. And also, if you're one of the drivers that are outside looking in, if you get a win, you're automatically locked into the next round. Like we said, Chris Worrell's going to be the driver who's automatically locked in, only driver who's comfortable. Then we also have some drivers that are feeling a little bit more comfortable because of the amount of points that they have, that being June White, Diego Valle, Joshua Robinson, and Ross Tatum, all with over 10 points advantage coming into tonight. Scott Rickard, Kyle McCoy, Zach Kreitz are going to be the 3 bubble drivers that are for Scott Rickard. He's got an 8-point buffer. 5-point buffer goes to Kyle McCoy, and only a 2-point buffer for Zach Kreitz, and he's got some hungry contenders behind him. 9th in points, first driver out is 2 points out of Kyle Bowling. 5 points out is Dylan Grimm. 7 points out both for James Lowe and Thomas Ogle. Both those drivers going to be in a spot where they know it is go time for tonight's race. And it's going to be a long one, 166 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs, 5 extra sets of tires in pit road. And let's take a look at where the drivers will be starting here tonight for the Next Level Racing 250 at Charlotte, the last race of the round at 12, and taking the pole award, it's Diego Valle in the 68 with his teammate of June White right behind him, and a driver that needs points, James Lowe in 3rd. Last week's winner, Chris Worrell, going to be in 4th, with Andrew Hess in 5th. Trey Jackson 6th. Zach Kreitz needing a good points day in 7th. That's a great way to start out. Ross Tatum in 8th. 9th is Thomas Ogle. Finish out our top 10 is Scott Rickard in the 05.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 44 Kyle Bowling. He's the first driver outside that cut line looking to get into the next round. 12th is going to be the 94 of Joshua R18. 13th is going to be Joshua Robinson, another playoff contender. Alongside him will be another one playoff contender who's just on the outside. 14th is Kyle McCoy. 15th is going to be another driver on the outside looking in. 15th is Dylan Grimm. 16th is going to go to Aaron Hell, with 17th being the 24 of Brian Lynch. 18th is going to go to Robert Sherwood. 19th is going to be Nate Lynch. And rounding out the top 20, it's going to be the 65 of George Coatsy.
And with all these drivers and where they're at right now, 21st is going to be Jason Gratton with Christian Loshton in 22nd, Ryan Chu in 23rd, Brian Burchett in 24th. 24 drivers, plenty of points to be grabbed here this evening. And for Diego Valle, that with this pole gives him his 3rd of the season. Going to be tying with 3rd most of all drivers this season. Pretty good day for these drivers to be racing at under the lights, Zach, in these Gen 4 cars. Exciting to see how the drivers are going to be able to react with this vehicle with the cooler temperatures as they're rolling off from the grid.
This track, Sam, is going to be fun tonight under these lights. I can tell you, I actually just recently had experience with the WSSR series in this almost same exact condition under the lights. So it was quite a handful in the long run. These drivers are going to have to be working a lot, especially for 166 laps. There's going to be some worn out people for sure, but it's going to be the driver who can find the grip, get out front and really, kind of stretch their legs from there, because this, how it is for Star Stripes, known for their long green flag runs. You better be prepared with not only the ability to stay in tune for all 166 laps, but also to have that strategy ready, because it's going to be pretty much all over the place.
Points going to be on the mind of some of these drivers. Like we said, how close the gap is. It's going to be all about positioning. If you can lead a lap, get a bonus point there. Maybe if you lead the most laps, you can find a bonus point. But the ultimate destination is to move on to the round of 8 for those that are not automatically locked in. Chris World going to be starting outside in 4th place. Curious on how the 6 is feeling on this initial start, knowing that he's taking off that pressure. Doesn't have to worry about it. He can win, doesn't have to, and he's already locked in the next round. As the pace car pulls off, the next level racing 250 here at Charlotte. Final race of the round of 12 is underway as we are green. Great launch for the teammates up front. A little bit of a shimmy for the drivers in the middle of the field, but everyone looks clean as they roar down into turn number 1.
Excellent start, like you said, from the 68. It's White, though, in the 09, who's under attack from the 99 low, who, like we talked about, came in here tonight needing some good points, and right now he's looking to get that done by having a great start to his evening.
It takes off. Light that of White going to stay on the outside, and they certainly are looking for any type of help and momentum to get by Low. But Low, stronger speed than 99, knows what the destination is. Get up front, win this race. You don't have to worry about the points and the what ifs of drivers behind you, as lap 1 goes to the 68 machine. Valle just cruising almost already, about 5 car lengths ahead of the rest of the field.
Looking mighty smooth out front, he definitely is, and that could be an ominous sight. We've seen a few times this season where Valle has kind of looked unstoppable. It's been just really impressive to see, and tonight could be one of those very nights underhand for ourselves. And no better time for him to do it than in the playoffs, Sam. You got to get that momentum rolling in the right way if you want to continue that trend into the next round.
Yeah, and looking at other drivers that are hoping to continue on a good trend after missing the playoffs. Andrew Hess hoping just to have a good momentum type of a day for the past champion. As we drop back to look at Ross Tatum in the 21, running in 8th place currently. Hasn't moved up or down, but is just trying to stay stable at this time, which where Ross runs currently at this moment would advance into the playoffs.
That'd be a great look for him for sure. I know he's talked about he's just struggled a little bit with this car, coming to grips with it, just hasn't figured out exactly how to get the most out of the tires. But you give him some momentum, and you never know, he might be right in the mix once again if he can get onto that next round. But here's Dylan Grimm going for it on Kyle Boland. Both of these drivers outside looking in, coming here tonight. These are crucial points that are being raced between these two.
Is a good wad of drivers that are in the playoffs currently that need to have a good race. Kyle Bowling outside looking in, Dylan Grimm also outside looking in, and Thomas Ogle all in the mindset of we need to move forward and try to close in on the gap, especially on James Lowe, but ultimately make sure they're a couple of positions ahead of the 46 machine, Zach Kreitz, who comes into tonight as our bubble driver. The 46 is right now at this time having one of his better starts of the evening, but cannot have one of his traditional fall back in the middle of the race type of moments.
He definitely can't have that for sure. And a great start, that's for sure right now, but he needs to continue this trend. If he wants to make his way through to the next round and be sort of the Cinderella story so far of the playoffs, then he needs to continue this right here. He cannot let these drivers who are farther back, such as Thomas Ogle, come here, Kyle McCoy, and gain positions on him, because the more spots he can put in between those drivers, the more drivers he can put in between him and that cut.
If you don't know how Zach Kreitz made it into the playoffs 2 weeks ago, was in a must-win scenario to make it into the playoffs. Won at Talladega, clinched that ticket. It was the final spot to make the playoffs. Had a pretty decent run at Rockingham, and now he's just trying to carry forward to another great run. A top 10 finish should be enough, but again, it's all eyes looking at where Thomas Ogle's running, James Lowe, Grimm, and Kyle Bowling. Those are the outside looking in drivers. Right now, James Lowe in second place and is doing everything in his power to make sure he fights for a chance to make it to the next round. As other movements going on behind the 46, as Kyle McCoy has now made his pass on Ross Tatum. But a driver having issues, it's Thomas Ogle in the 11, dropping quickly under the down on our ticker board, as the 11 gets into the wall on the entry of turn 1 and lost a massive amount of ground.
And not only that, Sam, but it all really started coming off of turn 4. He came up off the bottom of exit of the 4 and got really loose with Grim up underneath him. Got up into that wall in the front straightaway, lost a ton of momentum, tried to go in the 1 and 2 and run that outer groove, and kind of just got stuck to the wall as he hit the entry. So tough loss for him, because I can tell you one thing: you get stuck to that wall in this car and you lose upwards of 2 to 3 seconds of just how much momentum you lose just trying to get off the wall. So huge loss for him as he came in here tonight, the last driver in points.
Last driver in points, but also multiple other drivers and the lap after started to feel that looseness out of 4. That is already showing signs. In the center off of the exit of 4 is where drivers are really starting to find a little bit out of control sensations. Which, Zach, I mean, we're only 10 laps in. That's kind of shocking to see this early on. You'd think they maybe would have found that grip and it would be another 5 to 10 laps before that looseness hit.
It really does actually happen pretty fast here, especially off of 4. I'm not surprised to see it off of 4. And it's really, when you look at this track, when you add a tri-oval such as what we have here at Charlotte with, you know, the front straightaway being not exactly straight, it adds different aspects to the corner, such as a wider arcing entry into 1, a much wider arcing exit out of 4, and that can cause different handling issues for drivers. And it definitely compounds off of 4. I'll tell you that much. The track really seems to flatten out quickly, and these cars really lose grip quickly, even at nighttime in these cooler conditions.
See the battle going on for about a 15th place. Aaron Hill as well as Rob Sherwood battling side by side. Jason Grant waiting in the wings on where to place the 8 machine. Go for this pass. Altis, I don't think there was contact, but there was a big shimmy for the 8 machine on the entry of turn 1. Puts him into the outside wall as we look at Joshua Robinson trying to make the push on Brian Burchett, who's one of the biggest movers so far here tonight in the 33.
Yeah, the 33's been making up a lot of spots here. I wonder how long that will last for. I mean, it's known that if you make up tons of spots, usually in the beginning of the runs here with this car, it usually trends backwards as the run goes longer and longer. So we'll see if the 33 can hang on, because right now he's got a good group to be racing with right here, the 30 and the 44, the 05. All 3 of these drivers really known for their long run speed. We'll see if he can keep up with it.
Brian Burchett, I mean, beginning seasons of the Stars and Stripes, was always a driver that could be a threat to be up front for a top 10, top 5 finish. Great qualifying speed back in the past, but these last couple of seasons has kind of stepped away, not racing as consistent, and the speed just has not been there as often. As 33 currently in 14th place, not a bad place, like we said, to be. Drivers in front of him, that competition is starting to ramp up around 8th place as Ross Tatum has made the pass on the 5 machine to Trey Jackson, the 21. As always, being patient. It looks like it's go time, 14 laps into a run.
That it is time to go for that 21 machine. Great pass for him. This is really the point of the run where you will start to see if someone has saved just a tiny bit. We're getting about halfway through that portion of the run where it's going to be starting to show. As you see Grim there, great job of him working that outer groove. He's going to try to take advantage of this and get around Trey Jackson also to make the easy pass to move him up possibly to that 9th position.
Yes, the 23 trying to work on that outside lane. That's not a traditional place where we're going to be seeing a lot of passes, it feels like, for the Gen 4, especially at Charlotte. If I'm remembering correctly, at the WSSR race, Zach, it was a lot of drivers staying down low as much as they could, and they only went up high if they were defending the position or if they were trying to make a pass they had fresher tires. It's a very gutsy move by the 23, 16 laps in this race.
You're exactly right, Sam. Not many people ventured up to the top to find speed. It wasn't never, you know, hey, let me go up there and find that grip like some of the other tracks can. It does work. There is aspects where it can work, but a lot of times, like you said, more or less, it's for the defending aspect. And you'll try to see drivers hang on, but I really think the one thing that lends to at least good racing around this track is that if you can get up underneath someone, stick the nose up underneath them, the outside is not strong enough to where you can really just, you know, hold it on their door and hold somebody off. Where we see some of these tracks, the lines are so even that it makes passing even that much tougher. I think tonight, if you can get up underneath someone, you can be methodical with the throttle, you can get the pass done and get going forward.
You look at some of the drivers that have been really consistent this season. Talk about Ross Tatum, Josh Robinson, the top 10 column, top 5 column, Scott Rickard has been that driver, but talk about past champions. Kyle McCoy is that driver. 3 championships under the belt of the 7 machine. This season hasn't been as dominant as we've seen those past championships be grabbed. The competition level also has risen to a completely different level than we've seen in any other season. Right now, Chris Whirl under fire by the 3-time champ.
Definitely under fire is Worrell, luckily, like we said, only man that doesn't have any, real worries here tonight when it comes to those playoffs after the win last week at Rockham, that first career victory. The driver behind him definitely does have worries, and we know how good he can be in playoffs from past experience. But like you said, I think the competition level has not only risen, it just still hasn't come fully to grips with this race car. As we jump back here, looks like Trey Jackson now under threat from the 05 of Scott Rickard, the 44 of Bowling, and also looks like it's going to be Joshua Robinson as these 3 still stuck together, moving their way forward.
Trying to move their way forward, and Scott Rickard, you look at the stats, pretty wild. He either is a boom or bust. It's either he finishes inside the top 5 or he's outside the top 10 when he's finishing these races. Out of the 16 races that have been ran so far, the 05 finished in the top 5 and top 10 11 times this season. So he's trying to continue on that trend, but currently in 10th, leading this race to kind of develop a little bit more. 166 laps here tonight. That is a lot of laps these drivers are going to be dealing with. And Zach, that kind of, I would say, mixes the trend up of how these drivers are going to attack this race into a more traditional sense of we're expecting everyone to run pretty similar pit stop strategies, I would say. On a similar zone, they're going to be coming into pit road.
I think so too, Sam. This is a pretty straight up, especially with the lap count, 166 here. Did a little bit of math. This race is going to be a 3-stopper here, folks. And you're going to be looking at these guys taking it about 42 laps. That's well within that pit window. Usually you can take it about 45 laps on a fuel run here. If you're running, completely running the tank out, you can stretch it farther, of course. But to get to a 2-stop range, you'd have to run 51 laps. 52 laps. Nobody is going to do that for 3 full runs. I definitely see the future here of 3 stops in these guys' future, but pretty straightforward unless we get a caution. Then from there, it can turn everything upside down.
As we're looking at the shot, our top 2 drivers, Diego Valle, James Lowe. Lowe has been slightly losing touch to our leader of Diego Valle, and Valle just continues to rattle off quick lap after quick lap. There's some drivers in the middle of the field that are running faster than our leader, but they're so far back that all that gain time that they're hoping to grab, it's a little bit too much that they've given up at this moment, as drivers inside the middle of the field starting to get a little bit more racy, as it's the teammates from that of S&B Motorsports, of Joshua Altsys, Rob Sherwood, going to be around one another. It's been great to see Rob Sherwood since Talladega, been running a lot more consistent throughout the playoffs, enabling there to be some more points to be grabbed for drivers if they fall backwards or if they advance forward for themselves. But watching this back half the field, the one driver that we got circled is behind the 22 in 16th place. Thomas Ogle has not been able to recover after that big mistake on the entry turn 1 early in this race.
It is not looking good for Sam, but the one thing he can take, I think, to a grain of salt is it's a long way to go in this race. We talk about how long this is. We're only on lap 25 of 166 here, folks. There's plenty of time for this man to rebound. The only worry, the only thing I think that is in not his favor is how usual green these races play out here at Stars and Stripes. The likeliness of a possible full green race is on the higher side here at this league. So being right now 10 seconds behind the leader, also about a tenth or 2 slower per lap than the leader, that's going to be hurting this 11 machine here, especially with the position he came into tonight. But he cannot give up. That's the thing about racing. You never really know when that next caution can come up.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the trends for this season, most mile-and-a-half tracks this field goes to, there is either 2 to 0 cautions. That is the window we're working with at mile-and-a-half tracks. It was Las Vegas when they had their most of 2 cautions coming out. Otherwise, it's been either 1 or 0 cautions at mile-and-a-half courses. And if you're that of Thomas Ogle, cross your fingers, hoping you're not that driver involved with the wreck. But it's time for these playoff drivers to get a little bit more action as the battling going on for 6th place. Kyle McCoy, Ross Tatum, side by side, and McCoy's advancement in those first 20 laps starting to fight back. The 7 showing signs and getting to the outside wall off the exit of 4. And the tires are wounded, and now the damage on the side panels are wounded as well for the 7.
We've seen this a few times this season from the 7 of Comic That first run, he kind of goes out there, uses up the tires, kind of just trying to fill it out, and it hurts him in the long run of schemes because it seems like he always figures out later in the race how to, really not overwork the tires. But it seems like this first run is always a learning phase for him. Unfortunately for him, though, it put himself in the wall there and lost a few spots now, and that's not good for him because he was not too many points, above that cut line coming into tonight.
Yeah, with Kyle McCoy came in tonight with just a 5-point buffer over Kyle Bowling, and then also had that of just a simple 8-point buffer over Dylan Grimm. It grew to that of 9 points over James Lowe and Thomas Ogle. But if you're running currently where Kyle McCoy is, James Lowe is still in a very good spot to try to steal the position away from Zach Kreitz, and potentially, if Kyle McCoy falls back to many positions, it could be actually the 7 that gets bumped out, as we're 30 laps in to tonight's race, and we're just 3 laps away. Zach, we talked about how the extended of this race, we're 3 laps away from this race hitting the mark of our traditional 133 laps that the drivers would run in past seasons at these mile-and-a-half courses.
Exactly. That's the thing now. So bring their endurance. This is definitely an extra step up. I mean, already in this race, we're 18 minutes into it. So I throw another 20 minutes onto what you're going to run those 133 laps, and you better have it. I mean, we can say it's a video game, it's a simulation, and all this is just you're sitting at your desk, so you're not in the hot conditions. But I will say some of these guys have some pretty crazy wheels with direct drive, and they're strong. Those could really work your shoulders out when you're slipping and sliding around a track like this for 166 laps.
Especially with this vehicle. To talk to you, Zach, talk to other drivers, this Gen 4, the toughest vehicle to handle in the oval racing scene. You're just constantly working that wheel through the exit of the corner and even on entry, and drivers even say, hey, we're sweating after this race, and that extra 20 minutes is a lot to add on to these drivers as Kyle McCoy holds off Bowling. As Joshua Robinson's going to say, maybe it's my chance to try to attack this 44.
Yeah, he's looking for any opportunity here, and sometimes that's the way you got to do this. Is when you're that third driver in line, as Bowling has a slip up there off of 4, this is actually going to open up the door for the 30. So just like that, with Bowling trying to make the pass on the 7 of McCoy there and try to find the run to get beside him, just got a little bit loose. That opens up the door now for the 30. We'll see if he can make the pass, but it just seems like these guys having a tough time putting the power completely down coming off exit. So that top side actually worked pretty well for the 44 to clear him back fully off that 30. Is now, look, both drivers up to the top of the front.
Up to the top, ripping the wall. That is viable space to work with. Talked about the defensive line on the outside. That is a picture-perfect sign of what you do if you try to hold off a driver that maybe throws it down low with a bomb move. You go straight up to the wall, try to get back to the throttle sooner, and advance forward. Speaking of advancing forward, up 2 positions now is Thomas Ogle up to 14th. After getting by Rob Sherwood and Joshua Altis, as both those drivers have been struggling on pace. Aaron Hale's starting to close in on the gap on this 11 machine. And another driver who is caught up in a big into the wall losing time, Jason Gratton, the 8 machine, back to 18th place. But again, these drivers all have lost so much time to their competitors that they usually be running with, that it's just a wait and see and hope that you find the strategy that might work out for you on protecting your tires for the long run. As we bounce back up front, it's the battle for 4th all the way back to 8th, where we see Scott Rickard.
That would do it. Everybody's kind of stacked up right here. As you got Rickard closing in up to Grimm, who's looking to the inside of last week's winner of Whirl, and also you're going to have Ross Tatum all over the back of Andrew Hess right up in front of these guys. This grouping is definitely kind of stacked up here a little bit together, as looks like maybe the 54 of Hess and the 6 of Whirl starting to struggle a little bit as this run continues on. But look at Whirl trying to come back at the 23 with the crossover.
Felt comfortable, trusted the tires, and muscled his way forward was the 6 machine. That is a huge trust in your equipment to throttle it back up in the center of the corner and trust that the vehicle in front of you is going to move up just enough for there to be space. And Chris Whirl's going to take that advantage. And just like that, up to 6th place in Dylan Graham putting the pressure back on the six machine, trying to make him maybe a little bit too aggressive on the entry of the corner, but the six machine sticks as Hess moves high.
Hess moves high, and that allowed Ross Tatum to get the nice clean pass up to the fourth position for him. That's great for Ross, who came in here with a good points gap. Is now the 23 of Grimm back to the inside of the 6 of Whirl, trying to make it happen. But this is the one thing I love about this Gen 4 car is you really have the opportunity to, mix it up with the racecraft here. And what I mean by that is, the 6 of Whirl is definitely off paces. Oh, it looks like he got into the wall there going into one. That's going to allow the 23 to get by. But I think also, you can really set up those crossover maneuvers that you really seem to be very tough in the other cars.
I mean, Zach, that is the third or fourth time we've seen a driver get into the outside wall on the entry of turn one. That is probably the most minimal of lost time that we've seen so far of a driver getting into the outside wall. But still, that is shocking to see. We're almost 40 laps into this race, and that's happened multiple times of drivers struggling on the entry of the corner. Maybe they're getting a little bit too tunnel visioned on the drivers around them. They lose track of where that outside wall is, but that is something to keep our eyes on later on in this race. As we have had our first driver to hit pit road. That's Brian Burchett in the 33. First driver to hit pit road. It's the rest of the field about 5 to 6 laps away from when we're expecting the rest of them to hit pit road.
Yeah, just a little bit early for Burchett there. So we'll see how that works out for him. As look at Hess working the top groove, still clogged up behind the 23 there, who just got by. Now the 6 is going to try to go by the 54, who seems like on this long run here, starting to struggle a little bit. Was having a great run to start tonight off, even though, not making the playoffs after being the defending series champion. He wanted to show out here. Was having a good run, but seems like the longer run here tonight has been a little bit of a struggle as Rickard going to look to follow the 6th there.
Scott Rickard trying to find a way forward against the 6 to get a little bit more ahead as 54 stays on the outside groove. Still no reports of other drivers thinking about pit stops just yet. But Diego Valle continues to dominate. The gap that once was just a simple 2/10 difference between Diego Valle and James Lowe, well, it's ballooned out to almost 2 seconds between those two drivers, as now drivers over the radio starting to get a little bit active. Dylan Grimm in the 23, first driver to say so. Ross Tatum also saying he'll follow in suit. So here we go. First pit stops from the drivers up front.
This is right on that time. I feel like 41-42 is going to be where everybody decided. And it looks like majority of the people up front have took that decision. We'll see when Diego looks to come down, but right now he's got smooth sailing with about a 3-second lead back to his teammate of June White. First Whirl up to third with all those pit stops.
Cluster of other drivers that also joined Ross Tatum and Grimm, James Lowe. And this go around, here comes our leader, Dylan, that of Diego Valle, going to be following suit. Jen not wanting to give up too much time as June White stays out for an extra lap.
Looks like June White, like you said, is going to stay out for that extra lap there, Sam. And looks like he's going to run this top groove here. So looking to still find that grip. And June's known to stretch it a little bit farther than most. So we'll see when he hits pit road here with this 09 machine.
As other drivers over the radio saying they're coming into pit road, June White still out there, but he will make the very early pull down in the middle of the corner. A lot more gentle of an entry point compared to other drivers that seem to be a lot more aggressive. Chris Whirl, Scott Rickard, Andrew Hess staying out. Scott Rickard might be thinking about, hey, I just want to lead a lap, help my stats just a little bit more and get that bonus point for leading a lap. Is the 05 as Chris Whirl a little bit defensive here of staying out. The 6 doesn't have to stay out, but risking it, and maybe we could see that odd timing of the yellow flag. Usually if there's a yellow here at Stars and Stripes, it's during this transitional phase of drivers in the middle of their pit stops compared to those that aren't. As Scott Rickard whirls side by side across the line, that was too close to call, as Scott Rickard trying to lead this lap in. Didn't lead that last one. 2000s gave it to Whirl, but finally completes it through 1 and 2.
Wild stuff there. Only 2000s is Whirl. Woo! Big slide there off of 2 for him, Sam. That was almost a wreck there. I won't be surprised if he hits pit road this time with those tires. But great job by Scott Rickard there. But I don't think they can go too many more laps. Maybe only 1 to 2 more, because this will be 45 right here. I feel like 46 to 47 is about as much as you can get out of running it straight up.
More drivers entering pit road. Going to be Kyle McCoy, Aaron Hale, and with staying out, the risk of staying out, is because you are going to have the other drivers with fresh tires that could get underneath you and force you to miss your pit stop if you are not informing them that you're going to go into pit road. Front two have already notified that of the 68 of Valle that he's going into pit road. So 68 blasts on by on the outside. And Scott Rickard and Whirl have a little bit of side-by-side racing onto pit road.
Great time game by the 6 of World there, who was doing a good job not to get into the 05 as they'll have to form up here before they get to their pit boxes so the 05 can get back across the nose of the 6. But great job there gaining some time on the entry of pit road there, as can get a little bit dicey there for sure with these older tires.
As they try to get their service done, staying out for an extra lap, going to be Brian Chu in the 18 machine and George Kovacic. Both these drivers have been so off the pace, they've been able to save enough fuel for this extra lap for themselves. And interesting call for them to stay out as long as they had. As the rest of the field getting back up to full song after their pit stops being done. Expecting the 18 to 65 to make their pit stop this go around, as looking slow, but staying out is Brian Chu.
Maybe looking to save the fuel, man. That's what the pace is from here. Is these guys maybe going to try if they can. If they can stretch it 52 laps, you can make a two-stop happen here, but they've given up so much time. I mean, look at Valle, only 2.3 seconds behind these drivers. But at the end of the day, this is not going to be a winning strategy, but it may be an overall gain for them. We'll just have to see how it works out if they can get to that point even.
It looks like over the radio, pit stop for the 18 and 65 machine as Valle makes the pass going forward. As these drivers make their way into pit road. Lap 50 right around the corner. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we will step away for our first commercial break of the night. You're watching the Stars at Stripe Season 7 at race number 2 of the round of 12, as these drivers are racing the next level, racing 250 at Charlotte. Who moves on to the Elite 8? We'll find out after tonight. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Racing Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're currently watching the Season 7 cutoff race of the round of 12 for the Next Level Racing 250 at Charlotte. Well, we want to give a huge shout out to the amazing sponsors that help out the Stars and Stripes week in and week out. Been here since the last couple of seasons. They've been here almost from the start. We've got ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go get yourself a ButtKicker today. Instead of just hearing the sounds, why not feel the sounds? Gamer 2 from ButtKicker. And once you get your Gamer 2, you gotta attach it to something, either your chair, racing rig, but why not go find your racing rig today at Next Level Racing? Elevate your racing at this moment, as drivers are always looking for ways to feel like they're in the actual car. Well, that's where Next Level Racing can help you. Well, thank you so much for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hull, and if you're just joining us, well, this race has been clean and green. 60 laps in the books of 166. And currently, it's Diego Valle dominating at this moment. We just got finished with our first green flag pit stop run, and we're halfway through this run. And Zach, looking at where drivers are at currently, it looks to be pretty simple and set. Zach Kreitz needs to get more positions. Otherwise, James Lowe in the 99 in second place would be stealing his spot into the next round.
That's the way it seems at the moment. Kreitz is going to have some work to do. Unless Kyle McCoy has some issues and drops back far, that's his only hope if he doesn't go up there and gain spots, is that he can gain on Kyle McCoy enough. But at the moment, that's not enough. Only 2 positions above that 7 machine. So 46 has got some work to do. James Lowe needs to keep control of that second position, and man, I tell you what, it's going to be close. When all is said and done, strategy is going to be very important to where this plays out when this 166 laps is complete.
And when it's completed, the drivers then would have to look into the future. Next 2 races for the round of 8 before we have our 4 drivers racing for a championship. New Hampshire and Kansas being our next 2 destination. And both those tracks we know could be exciting. I think the round of 8 might be the toughest one of all the rounds that they're going to be running. Rockingham was a tough track, but it was mainly just stay in your own groove and you're going to be okay and run outside and defend. Tonight, pretty similar of just put some good raw speed, be up front. You're going to be set to move on to the next round, but New Hampshire and Kansas being the round of 8 races. I cannot wait for the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, man. New Hampshire is going to be wild, to say the least. I'm excited. I haven't seen this Gen 4 car at New Hampshire yet, so I'm really excited to see what that can do. That track can sometimes produce some really, really good racing, and then sometimes put a little bit of a stinker on. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. Again, a lot of times that comes down to track conditions, car setup, and all those such odds of things. So we'll see how that all does shake up, but definitely like to see Kansas in the next round. I know from previous experience that track's going to be super racy for these guys, so they're going to be able to move all around trying to find spots. But I think a lot of them right now, unless you're Chris Worrell, other than that, I think all the other drivers right now are just focused on the Charlotte Motor Speedway, knowing what's on the task.
For Kyle McCoy, trying to get by Andrew Hess. Hess looked very weak on the long run. Kyle McCoy was just so aggressive on taking every position possible. His tires also started to fall off at the end of their green flag first stint. And right now, Hess and McCoy, driver in front is Zach Kreitz, as McCoy gets the better run off the exit. 7 machine going to be taking this position away, slotting himself in the 9th position, as Hess staying on the high side, trying to defend, but gets a little bit out of shape. And both drivers, a little shimmy off the exit of 2, but keep it side by side as Hess has the better momentum.
Great defense here from Hess, is trying not to make it easy on the 7, trying to make it as tough as he possibly can. And right now, the 7 machine almost clear and will clear here in the tri-oval to 54, and that 1 lap tire advantage just enough to help Kyle McCoy get that spot and now move him 1 position closer to Zach Kreitz, who right now is about a second up the road from him. So we'll see if he can run that 46 down, who he does have a 2 lap advantage on him with tires.
As tire advantage is going to be critical as other drivers of watch and note. Going to be Scott Rickard, Chris Rose, who's got some pressure, got almost about 5 to 6 lap of pressure tires of those up front. But this battle certainly gave us a good picture of just what 1 lap advantage looks like for the field. As for tonight's race, thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As it's been a good year, that says a little big wiggle for that of the 54. But it's been a good year here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. This week we just concluded 2 other series that we cover: Monday night iRacing Truck Series and Wednesday night the WSSR Roast Gems Cup Series. Both just had their championship race, so we are now down to just 2.
Looks like folks, we might have lost our commentator here, Sam, for a second, as he might have had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we're checking out these guys go down the back straightaway. But like Sam was saying, we've had an excellent year once again, and we're definitely looking to close out strong once again with these last 2 leagues we have competing, which here tonight is Stars and Stripes, and then also Full Sin Racing Series. They'll be starting their playoffs heading into 2 weeks from this week, so it's going to be fun to see how they all started off. But I can confirm for the moment we have lost our commentator Sam Dyer. He's going to be trying to get back in here as he's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but you're going to have me for the moment, as it looks like drivers all trying to figure out what type of strategy is going to work out here. As the driver I really have my eye on more than anything, watching lap times, watching positions, is that driver in the 5th position of the 05 Sky Rickard. His tires look so strong, and we'll just have to see how he works out through this run. But looks like we'll have Robert Moyer join me here for the time being as we look to get Sam back in. But Robert, how's it going from the production box?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Clean racing going on right now, Zach. It's like you guys were saying, noted that we are under green and been under green since the start of this race. So these guys are looking really stout out here tonight, and got some good racing. But I think this is all going to come down to what you guys were talking about, more or less of saving tires, fuel run, and this next pit stop. Do you try to undercut it, or do you run it all the way out? We'll have to see how it all plays out.
We really will have to see how it all plays out. And we've seen the 1 lap advantage that the 7 here, McCoy, had over the 54 Andrew Hess. But, the thing is, this advantage has really disappeared after the 7's got past them. So shows you can have that tire advantage, but you can actually drive the car to where that tire advantage can kind of slip away. So interesting to see that battle. Is look at this, Kreitz up here in the mix-up, is he's got 2 lap down cars right behind him. It looks like that's George Kovacic, I believe, and also the 24 of Brian Lynch, who right now Kovacic 2 laps down, Brian Lynch 1 lap down right behind Kreitz, as he's still trying to run away from Kyle McCoy.
Yeah, he's trying to run away from him, but before he runs away from Kyle McCoy, he's got to run away from the lap down cars that are trying to pass him right now. But he's having a good run here tonight so far. Needs to, have a good run, and he's up here running in 8th position. He's only down 1 position from the start of the race, so that's not bad. You know where you're at. He's just running his race and doing what he needs to do, Zach.
He really is, really just running his race and doing what he does need to do. But the unfortunate thing, is going to be to see, where these guys end up, points wise, because at the end of the day, you can only control your situation. That's the thing that's tough. Yes, you can go out here and, have a really good run, but if a driver around you in points that you need to beat by a certain amount has a good run also, and they're around you, it's kind of tough to be in that situation. But nonetheless, you just got to try your best, try to always move forward and do better than your competition.
Amen on that. As it's looking really good. Like, this race is just all strategy right now. We don't want to give the commentator curse right now, Zach, but this is just looking really good racing. But right now, we're that 68 over James Lowe's. He's got almost a 4-second lead over him. If you were James Lowe, what would you do to try to catch that 68? Because just right now, he's just running away with the race.
Well, it's a tough position to be in for Lowe, because he does come in here with the point situation of being 7 points out when he came in here tonight. He was tied with Thomas Ogle for 12th. And with him being, 7 points out like this, it is very doable right now for him to move on. He needs to focus on really keeping up to the 2nd position and not falling back any farther than that. And yeah, he wants to go up there and catch Valle, but he's also got to focus on managing his stuff enough to stay in front of June White. So you got really multiple things playing out right there, but we'll just have to see how it works out for Lowe, because right now he's on the oldest tires of this group. He's going to have to work his way, or have to really probably hit pit road sooner than these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how that does shake up things.
Yeah, well, like you said, he's got to pay attention and keep his second place position, but he's also got to keep an eye on what Thomas Ogle is doing. And Thomas Ogle is back here in 12th position after getting into the wall. So right now that where these guys are running, I do believe that would put him in and Thomas Ogle out. Correct?
I believe it would. Yes. So this is this definitely shook things up for sure. So right now Lowe definitely just needs to keep focusing on what he's doing. But the one thing I will say, he's getting caught by June White. June White is catching up. The 09 has been quicker, and we'll see if that 09 can continue that trend. Also, Scott Rickard, he's been closing the gap with his fresher tires. Looks like he's down to about 7 seconds off the leader, and now about 3 seconds off of James Lowe. So Lowe's definitely going to have to keep the burners on, as they would say, because I don't think he can give up much more than second.
Yeah, I would imagine you're right there, Zach. Because looking at the tire strategy right now, James Lowe is pitted on lap 41. Then you got June White that pitted on lap 43, and then you got Scott Rickard that pitted on lap 46. So Scott Rickard's got the best tires out of the whole top, three here. So I would imagine here very shortly that Scott Rickard should be seen chawing this gaps down and trying to make a pass, and we'll have to see how it all plays out, man.
Yeah, and it's definitely closed the gap down for sure. Is this 05 has been, very, very quick on the fresher tires, but it's definitely been also tough to make the passes. And I think that's took a little life out of those tires, and that's my concern for him. Really, is just hasn't had the life right now to continue that run forward with those fresher tires. Seems like it's kind of fallen off. Because look at this, Dylan Grimco in the pit road. This is getting a little bit interesting.
Wonder why. Okay, yeah. I mean, early pits, like I was saying. I wonder what his strategy is, as he got a little wiggly coming into the pit road here. But what kind of strategy is this now here, Zach, with him pitting this early?
It still falls in the realm right there. I mean, he pit right around the lap 41 marker. We're at lap 82. Well, that fills right into that realm. So this is in that zone, and that's why you're seeing Lowe even come down to see June White there. Just went by as White was really catching up to this 99 of Lowe here, and I think Lowe couldn't wait any longer. He had to come down to pit road and is going to make his stop. I'm going to have one more still scheduled pit stop for these drivers that are making their stops now.
Oh, we'll have to see how this all plays out. As well, now we got Ross Tatum, Kyle McCoy all hitting pit road, Trey Jackson. So looks like pit road is opened up here, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully everybody's enjoying the show here tonight from the Stars and Stripes, as we got the 68 now hitting pit road too. So June White and Scott Rickard and Worrell should be able to stay out for at least a couple more laps here, as they were pitted on lap 46. But hopefully everybody's enjoying the show here tonight, and enjoying Zach and Sam's commentating there, and now me joining into the booth. But yeah, I mean, like Sam was saying there, Zach, we just got done finishing off Monday night's championship race. Wednesday night we had a championship race, so things are winding down here as things are heating up here at Stars and Stripes.
Love it, man. I love it. We've had 2 nights kind of come to a conclusion in Crown Champions, and then we got 2 other nights now that are just starting to bud that flower open of playoffs, and really start to see how this whole picture is going to lay out for us. It's really, really fun to see, and I cannot wait to see who's going to get it done this season, because there's so many drivers that have an opportunity. First off, I mean, June White, definitely one of the favorites for sure. Is now you see Scott Rickard coming from the lead down the pit road. Diego Valle, for sure. Those two, I think, have to be top of the list. But then you look at the past. I mean, you got Scott Rickard, of course, as past champion. Kyle McCoy, if he can move on tonight, he's always a threat. And then the
Mhm.
likes of Joshua Robinson, James Lowe is showing a good speed here tonight. There's so many drivers. I mean, even the 6 of Chris Worrell, he won his first race last week. You know, he's got something to show now. So it's really opened up the door, and there's so many opportunities for drivers to come and make a name this season.
Oh, most definitely. And this playoff, as we're getting ready to go into it and everything, you know, it's. I think we're going into it, correct? Heck, I don't even look at the schedule anymore. I do apologize, fans. I leave that up to Sam and Zach.
Yeah, we are in the first round of the playoffs.
I thought
this is the
so.
cutoff
Okay.
race tonight for the round of 12. That's when we cutting it down to 8 tonight after this race.
Oh, interesting. Well, as pit stops are rolling on here, we got Robert Sherwood making a pit stop. Aaron Hale looks like he's going to stay out and try to lead a lap. We got Jason there trying to get a lap back, it looks like, the hard way. And but with that being said, we are going to step away here onto a commercial as we are watching the Stars and Stripes here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Hopefully everybody enjoys tonight's content. Don't forget to share and like and follow us, and for more content on the iRacing side. But we will catch you after this quick commercial break. We will be right back after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
5 wide behind her pit. Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes.
I know Carter gets run. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back as well for that of the Stars and Stripes Season 7, Round of 12, Race 2 of 2. Cutoff race, figure out who's moving on to the Elite 8. Thanks for joining with us as we are coming up to 60 laps to go. 106 laps have already been ran, and it's been dominated by Diego Valle. James Lowe early in the race showed signs of maybe being able to threaten the 68, but ever since lap about 30, it has been all Diego Valle. Other drivers are racing to figure out if they can move on and make a chance to crack into the Elite 8 after tonight. We cannot wait to give you the rest of the breakdown. For tonight, my name is Sam Dyer. We got Zach Hall with me. And Zach, I know there's been a lot of just pitch strategy calls being made. Not a lot of differential on those strategies, but certainly tonight the drivers are picking and choosing when they want to make this potential last stop.
They're definitely been picking and choosing for sure, Sam. It's been kind of all over the place, 4 to 5 laps between most, and then some other drivers way over. You know, Robert Sherwood, actually one of the latest drivers to pit back there, and also Aaron Hale. So some drivers stretching it much farther, trying to get that overcut, but it looks like, I think, for the majority of the time, from what I've noticed from these pit stops, it seems like pitting around 41, 42 laps in has been the best benefit, but seeing right here Scott Rickard with his little bit, about 4 lap fresher tires than Dylan Grimm, able to really charge past this 23 and try to maybe set his sights forward on June White.
Tacking forward to try and close in on June White, who's just about 3 seconds ahead of this battle that you see on screen. As they also have some lap traffic of George Kovacic and Rob Sherwood also in front of them. And Scott Rickard just trying to set up this inside lane, but Dylan Grimm fighting strong, but gassing up early was the 05. Has to hold on and trust the vehicle can get settled off the exit and will do. Scott Rickard up to 4th.
Great pass from the 05 right there. Really had to wait on that throttle. Got it done. And he's going to move himself up to 4th. And with watching how this is all shook out with the pit stop so far, one interesting thing, Kreitz has dropped back to the 10th position. And that's gave, I think, Lowe a little bit more breathing room there, Sam, for him. Because if he would have dropped down a few spots with Kreitz running up in 8th, it could have gotten very, very dire situations for Lowe. But I think with Kreitz dropping back to 10th, this makes this situation a little bit better.
Yeah, the point situation for James Lowe. He was 7 points out. He was tied with Thomas Ogle in last place, coming in points here of our 12 drivers that are in the playoffs. With running in 2nd place, he just needs to make sure he's above the 46, and he will move forward into the playoffs. Cal McCoy, his ultimate goal, who was 7th in points, is stay in front of that machine of the 46 of Zach Kreitz. And I mean, the Cinderella story for Kreitz certainly looks like it might be going up in smoke, but another driver that's having a great playoff run, that's the 6th machine of Chris Worrell. Got his first career win in the Stars and Stripes last week that also locked him into the round of 8. The only driver that was 100% solidified at the start of tonight. 6th machine ran in 8th place. Not a bad night on just trying to stay consistent with the momentum that he grabbed last week.
I think you said it great there. Staying consistent with the momentum he grabbed last week. I mean, you got to do that. You can't just come out here and just take this week off. You know, a lot of people, I would say, I wouldn't come in here prepared for this race. I wouldn't come in here saying, you know, let's focus all my focus on this race. I'd be more focused on New Hampshire in that next race, in the next round. But I would come in here tonight trying to continue another good run. It's always good to have that. Looks like he brushed the wall there into 1, as a few guys have done that tonight, getting very, very close to it. But definitely something he wants to do is keep that momentum intact.
And also another driver that can shake things up for James Lowe. That's 5th place runner Dylan Grimm. If Grimm grabs another position or 2, that could really change things up for James Lowe, who, again, was 7 points out, but it was Grimm who was only 5 points out. That's a 2-point advantage for the 23 to work with. So Dylan Grimm could be a changer here of how these drivers want to react as. And you're watching the Stars and Stripes on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us here this evening as the drivers continue to race this thing out here tonight. It's been a good one of 114 laps in the book. Lap start of lap 115, still searching for when drivers are going to make their final pit stop of the night. As Diego Valle dominates up front still. Now the gap's up to 4 seconds for the 68. As Chris Worrell closing in on lap traffic for himself and trying to close in on Cal McCoy.
It has definitely been one of those nights with that 68 of Valle. He's been so fast, but I think one battle we're about to have is James Lowe. He has a ton of threat underneath him, and it's going to be the 09 of June White coming through, trying to make this pass for the 2nd.
June White, who got qualified up in second place, makes the push, the pass, and just simply no problem with that move right there. And with Lowe fumbling down to third, Grimm in fifth, this puts that 99 in a tricky spot on where he runs currently.
Definitely a tricky spot for sure. I mean, this is going to make those points so much closer between Grimm, not only in Lowe, but also Kreitz. So this is shaking things up, folks, and this is going to get wild. I mean, we still have one pit stop to go. Anything is possible. All it takes is one mistake. One mistake can really change the whole scene for a lot of these drivers because, again, no stage points. You have earned nothing yet in this race. You can't, come out of here saying, well, at least I got a little bit, but, this race is earned when the checker flag flies, so you got to make it to the end. No mistakes from here on out.
As the driver is up front, Diego Valle, June White, the teammates that have dominated when it comes down to fuel entire strategy calls throughout the season. They certainly are looking to be pressuring forward, moving on. As we drop back to the sixth machine of Chris Worrell, as he's got the lap car of Aaron Hale, who's trying to make a pass currently. Fresh tires for that fourth machine. Other drivers to watch out for is Joshua Robinson. Been a pretty quiet night for the 30 machine, running in ninth place. He came into tonight with a 14-point buffer over Kyle Bowling and Dylan Grimm. And 30 machine and just a cruise control type of moment, as he really isn't worried about those drivers. It's just not enough positioning currently for them to run down this 30 in points.
Definitely not. Just not enough, like you said, available for him. As Robinson has had just a smooth night. I mean, that's all he could ask for. He couldn't come out here and throw a dud. He had to come out and have a smooth night, and right now he's got his way up to ninth and not too far behind the sixth of Worrell, but does have older tires than Worrell, so that's going to be a little bit of an issue for him. He'll probably try to maybe set his sights more on that 7 account before.
Forward, Kyle Bowling in the 44, driver that was searching for some good points, ninth in the point standings coming into tonight, which is a 2-point disadvantage to Zach Kreitz, but for Kyle Bowling, he's not ahead of the 46, currently 2 positions behind him. And for this 44, this season has been an up and down type of a season. He made it into the playoffs, but he's had 4 top 5s, 12 top 10s, and one of the only drivers that are in the playoffs to not have a win. The other drivers that don't have a win being Dylan Grimm and also for him and Dylan Grimm both searching for that first win for themselves. But the rest of the field pretty confident on the fact that they feel like they can win almost every single week.
That it is. It's very, very competitive and surprising not to see, like Kyle Bowling in that winner's circle. So definitely something he'll want to get done before the season's out, and might have to step it up here a little bit if he wants to get to that next round and make those wins count even that much more. As we're checking out the 5 here, Trey Jackson, he's back in the 14th position and started up in 6th, so has lost, a good portion of when he started up front, but still, nonetheless, it's good to see Trey Jackson out there on the track today.
Well, Zach, with the drivers and where they're at currently, with 123 laps in the books, what is that window these drivers are searching for if they're planning on making this final stop here tonight?
Well, it's looking like most likely as you guys through the field are sliding up, getting pretty close back farther with the second or third place man. Sorry, of James Lowe, but it looks like as Robinson's going to hit pit road right here. I mean, this is technically in the window. It is doable here for this distance, but I would think most, Sam, are probably going to stretch it at least another 3 to 2 laps. It's getting them in that zone, but that was definitely an early stop for the 30, right on the edge of the fuel window.
Very early stop, but hey, maybe that's exactly what the 30 machine of Joshua Robinson needs for a good run to catch up into this field. Also, Brian Burchett coming into pit road, currently 5 laps down, struggling with the 33 after his first stop. Andrew Hess makes his go. First driver, though, that's inside of our top 5 to make the call that they're entering pit road. It's James Lowe pitting before Diego Valle and Jude White.
Lowe going aggressive here with the strategy going to come in before White and Valle, which he has been doing up to this point. So sticking to what he's been doing, and we'll see how it works for him here, because this is going to be a little bit longer of a run than what he had there. But that run there was about 40 laps. This one's going to be about 42 for him. So we'll see how this run works out for him, if the undercut is available, or does he fall into the clutch of the drivers behind.
More drivers entering pit road, and over the radio getting quite active. These Kyle McCoy, June White has just hit pit road. A lot of other drivers further on back, Dylan Grimm, Zach Kreitz, also Ross Tatum have made their stops. As Diego Valle now over the radio saying he's pitting this time, but Thomas Ogle, big slide on the entry of pit road, trying the smallest distance before he has to get on the brakes, and that 11 risking it all there late, but that's exactly what Thomas Ogle needs to do to try to get back into the mix, is to try to cut down and gain any time that he can. He lost early on in this race. Let's see as well Scott Rickard on the entry of pit road with George Kovacic.
A little sideways for both those drivers, but definitely more for Ogle, is still trying to recover from that incident. As there, look, the 6 gets a little sideways, and that's not uncommon to see. I will tell you folks out there, for this race car, a lot of times you're taking the brake bias and moving it all the way to the rear. And what we mean by moving the brake bias to the rear is that means it's giving more braking power to the rear tires, which in turn causes them to lock up first, which is usually why the rear end will step out when you come to pit road. So no surprise to see a lot of guys having issues with that brake bias probably being pretty far back right now.
As other drivers still need to come into pit road, Kyle Bowling, Rob Sherwood still need to make their stop, and Jason Grattan going to be the last few that need to make the stop, and then they will be good to take it to the end of tonight's race. There's Kyle Bowling hitting pit road. Rob Sherwood, the next on the list, expected to make their stop, and not for a second, maybe it was this lap. Going to stay up for an extra one is Rob Sherwood, as he'll take the lead and try to lead a lap as Diego Valle, expected just by raw speed, make this pass for the 68 as Sherwood stays high.
Man, just look at the difference there between the speed. That shows you what new tires are versus 40-lap-old tires. It's crazy to see that speed. And right now, Valle using every bit of the tire. And, you know, I mean, he's just been on somewhat of a Thursday night drive here, Sam. It's really been smooth sailing from the 68 from start to finish.
As Diego Valle just in cruise control, Rob Sherwood still need to make his stop. Same for Jason Grattan. I believe also Brian Chu's off sequence from everyone else will have to make their final stop. Those are the last 3 drivers before everyone is finished out with their pit stop cycle, and then it's down to who can catch up to who. James Lowe was not able to close in on the gap on Diego Valle, was able to get it down in almost a second difference between the 68 and the 99. But Diego expected to just pull away with the fresher tires between himself and the 2 competitors behind. And as everyone else is making their stops, we've got ourselves that of 37 laps to go. We're going to take our last commercial break of the night. Thank you so much for being with us. We will be back right after this for some more racing action. It's the Stars and Stripes Season 7. Last race of the round at 12, the Next Level Racing 250 at Charlotte. Here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Racing Series for the Season 7 playoffs. Round of 12, cutoff race. Who's moving on to the Elite 8? As currently right now, we know one driver is in solidified position to move on to the next round. That was Chris Worrell after winning last week at Rockingham. Here tonight, looks like Diego Valle is going to be trying to punch his ticket. He's been the dominator tonight. The other drivers still searching and hoping that they can have a good run. Another solidification that we just got right before we went to commercial break. Kyle Bowling pulled into pit road, calling it a night for the 44. So that's one of our drivers on outside looking in, not going to be able to move on into the playoffs. A shocker for us to hear tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Collins. Zach, Kyle Bowling being knocked out of the playoffs. Kind of a shock. But also the way that he was running here tonight, it looked like he needed some help, but the help just wasn't coming along.
It really wasn't. He just didn't have the pace, it seems like, and other drivers that were around him were having a little bit better nights. So unfortunate for him, I think got a black flag, called it a night. So that's all it's going to write for his playoffs. Unfortunate for him after having a spectacular season last season, but he'll come back, I'm sure, in the next one and try to build back up, of course. But the one thing that I'm watching more or less than anything is James Lowe right now and Dylan Graham. Those two right now, with June White closing in to Lowe, this gets very dicey between them because they definitely both have gained enough points, in my opinion, now on Kreitz, who's back in 10th, with them both being 4th and 2nd. But if Lowe drops back to 3rd here, just doing a little quick math, I'd say that Lowe would be behind Grimm then in points here, Sam.
That it would. There's a 2-point difference between those drivers, and Lowe has to be at least 2 positions ahead to be at least at the tiebreaker. And I believe because he's got the better finish between the two drivers throughout this round, he would get that tiebreaker for himself. But again, we don't have 100% confirmation on what the tiebreaker would be for these drivers, but James Lowe would rather be in at least ahead of Dylan Grimm by 3 positions, or at least make sure he's the highest finisher of the 2 drivers.
Exactly. Yeah. At least make the most of it. There is, probably his best opportunity here, Sam, is to get the 05 Rickard to run down Grimm, who has 2 lap fresher tires than Grimm. But really, been watching lap times, Rickard's really not running Grimm down too much. So we'll see if he can amount something. But at the moment, Dylan Grimm might be looking to squeeze his way in here with a last minute run down here.
Scott Rickard's been having an interesting season when you look at the long runs and how it's been working for the 05. There's some races where he is one of the better drivers at conserving and protecting his tires. Here tonight, it's kind of been a wish-wash. At the beginning of the run, it seemed like he was a little bit too aggressive on his tires, and then he's been progressively getting a lot better. And when it comes to that final stage of the race, everyone kind of has figured out how to save their tires properly. For Scott Rickard, looks like he's going a lot more on the conservative mode to make sure that long run is where the 05 is at its strongest. But the gap is the big thing of note. It's about 3 seconds difference between 4th and 5th place right now.
Yeah, that gap is definitely pretty sizable for sure. Is up ahead of him, though, in the 2nd position. James Lowe is under threat. The 09 June White is now caught up to the 99. And White going to look to take that second spot over is actually now side by side through the tri-oval. It's going to be side by side, and one is, I think, oh no, not actually. Before we can even get to him, he is already passed because that was a nice clean pass where Lowe just kind of let him by. I'm very surprised to see that.
Yeah, James Lowe did not put up a fight at all. Decided it was time to just get out of the way. He's actually might give up even more time because are dealing with Brian Chu, who's on the freshest of tires of any driver out there. Brian Chu very much off sequence from the rest of the field is Lowe. That exit out of 4. Bit of a spook because the 18 has to back off, but having a lap car with fresher tires is going to be costing time on the 99, which he cannot afford because with all that, being passed by White, being passed by and almost passed by the 18 in that scare out of 4, he's given up almost a full second to Dylan Grimm.
That he has, and if Grimm catches him and passes him, that pretty much seals the deal for sure. And even right now, with the way Lowe is positioned in 3rd, he would be tied with, in my opinion, with Kreitz in points. So that Lowe right now really needed to hold on to that second position. So I was so surprised just to see him roll over when the 09 got to him. So maybe from the cockpit it is hard to do that math and know exactly where drivers are at out there, but I'm very surprised to see him just kind of get that position up.
And if Dylan Grimm can make it into the playoffs and even make the pass for 3rd place, that would be a 1-2-3 for Grimm Roberts Racing, and 3 drivers from Grimm Roberts Racing moving on to the next round. It's such a strong team. Dylan Grimm has really found his own groove on the second half of the regular season into the playoffs, and we know how strong his teammates of Valle and White have been all season long. That's been the big documents that we would just keep on bringing up all throughout this season of their strength. But Grimm always seemed like kind of the black sheep that would sometimes show some speed, but then would falter. Here tonight, showing the strength of a team as a whole, all inside of the top 5.
It really can help to have teammates that have not only great skills like June White and Diego Valle possess, but also just they understand the car right now. They know what works. They know how to drive it. They can explain that to their teammates such as Grimm, and it can be so beneficial. And not surprised to see Grimm, one of the drivers, benefiting from it because, man, he's definitely one of the drivers I've shown in the past. When something clicks for him, it really just works, and it's good to see that tonight he's been able to make things happen because he's had his back against the wall for sure entering tonight.
That he certainly has, as these drivers keep on puttering along, but the laps are ticking away quickly. 17 laps to go for Diego Valle, as this would be around the zone that we would see WSSR on Wednesdays having their 1.5 mile races finishing up, and some other races that we cover for the ISRC Truck Series. They would be 150 laps in length, with 166, those extra 15 laps, extra little bit of tire wear that maybe you were not really thinking or conserving on. These drivers have to make sure they're picture perfect and don't make any mistake this late in the race.
Yeah, and it's definitely starting to add up too, Sam. So that extra addition of 25 miles, it can really take its toll, and right now is in that point of that run, and we'll see where these drivers can amount to that. But right now Ogle looks like he's been under threat there from the 4 Aaron Hill, but Aaron Hill 1 lap down, not too big of an issue there for him, as he's trying to track down Kreitz, who right now is about 3 seconds ahead of him, so doesn't look very likely with that case.
And I'm trying to think for Thomas Ogle, the amount of time that he lost in that first, handful of laps in this race, when he got into the outside wall, he lost almost 9 seconds in that just one incident. And if he didn't lose that time, this 11 could have been racing with the drivers inside of our top 8. Could have been for 6th or 5th position. Instead, he's in 11. And the driver that he needed to beat by over 7 positions runs in front. That's the 46 Zach Kreitz, with plenty of lap cars in between them.
And that's stars and stripes for you, man, because literally this league, it's so hard to make up ground when you have a league that just doesn't have the caution flags that allow people to have those mistakes and come back from. You really get punished for it, and unfortunately for Ogle, it seems like he's going to get really punished for this one tonight, and his chances of moving on to the next round are going to slip away.
I mean, Thomas Ogle, a driver that we've kind of circled as a threat to win the championship last season, fell shy to Andrew Hess. This season won't even make it to the round of 8 for the 11 machine. Other drivers, though, that are still searching for a championship, probably the favorite when you looked at the first handful of races, Ross Tatum, 21, runs in 6th place, had a huge gap of points to work with 13 before the race even started. And in 6th position, he is feeling very comfortable that he's going to be moving on to the next round with all the other drivers and where they lie. And with us coming up to 10 laps to go here in just 2 laps, let's just hit your marks and don't make any mistakes, as no one's expected to come into pit road and make their stop, as everyone's already done their green flag pit stops, 3 in total for the majority of the field. And now it's down to just crunch time. Will anyone make a mistake? Because we haven't seen it just yet. We've seen a slight wiggles here or there. It's all been saves made on the exit turn 4.
That it has been mostly. And with Ross Tatum here in 6th, the one thing I've been watching a little bit here is Rickard, his run towards Grimm kind of stalled out, but Grimm, he's continued his run towards Low, but also Low is starting to run back down the 09 of White here. So the 99 sees his door opening right here, possibly with this 09, if he can get past him. But you got to imagine the 09's going to fight him strong, knowing the situation that the 23's in.
How much of numbers also are they being informed on? I mean, some drivers are just never told about the numbers game and where drivers are at. So sometimes they just run their own race and are thinking about, I'm just going to survive to the end of the day. But with 10 laps to go, it's crunch time. This is a make or break pass that can help either James Lowe move on, but if June White defends the 99, doesn't allow him to advance forward, that helps his teammate Dylan Grimm 100% solidify the 23's chances of moving on to the next round. Will it be the rookie or the veteran that finds themselves moving into the Elite 8?
As James Lowe played a little bit of possum here, saved his stuff with that 1 lap, fresh or older tires, and is now coming back towards June White. This will be the question, is what can he do with him? As it looks like White this last time has solidified a little bit of the lap time there, but still it's James Lowe closing in just by 100th of a second.
Closing in every little bit. It's so small and minimal, but it's such a big gap that's trying to be closed in on as these drivers continue to fight for every position possible. James Lowe seeing the laps tick away, recognizing what needs to be done. And if he hasn't already, I mean, the 99 wants to get every position possible, but does he know the situation that he's in, that he has to get this 2nd place finish?
That is a great question to have, Sam. Highly unlikely that he probably does. I mean, looking at it right now, doesn't have a spotter here tonight, so doesn't have someone watching. Doesn't mean someone's not in a room with him in a Discord chat or something, giving him these numbers. But, if he doesn't know, he's going to be a little upset, I think, maybe being this short if he ends up like this. Is Grimm, though, don't count him out yet. He has been 2 to 3 tenths faster than these 2 ahead of him. And with 7 laps to go, it's just under a second right now.
And if the 99 starts fighting with June White, I mean, that's going to be costing time as well for both of them and allowing Grimm to close in the gap even more. And that pass would be for nothing. With 5 laps to go here tonight, it is all down to who's going to get it done between June White, James Lowe, Dylan Grimm on the last spot to be gained. Zach Kreitz, all the way back in 10th place, is just a sitting duck. His fate of moving on to the next round is kind of set and sealed because of where Dylan Grimm runs and also where Lowe runs. These drivers are in great positions to outpoint the 46 coming into tonight. For Zach Kreitz, he just needed to perform a little bit faster, aim for a top 5. The top 10 was not enough here tonight, with 5 now laps to go officially for Diego Valle.
5 mere laps, and Valle, I mean, what a night for him. So dominant. I mean, we haven't even talked about him probably more than a couple of times since the start, and it makes sense just because he's in a class of his own when it comes to the field tonight. But Lowe here, don't know if he knows what's on the line here, but he is going to have to be willing to send it here if he wants to get White here in these next 4 laps.
Well, it seemed like that last lap they really did start to figure out it's time to get going. James Lowe, Dylan Grimm ran very similar lap times. June White recovers with a great time himself. Our top 5 all running very similar lap times, about 2 tenths faster or 3 tenths faster than the rest of the field. The cream has risen to the top. And it makes sense why the drama's ramping up with 4 laps to go. Grim is not caught up. Lowe's gap has stayed stable between himself and White. There needs to be a little bit of extra speed now with 2.5 laps to go for a leader.
He's going to need to find something, Sam. Yeah, he's got to reach out, try a different lane, try something to find the grip, because he's running out of time as he's closed in to, within 2 car lengths, but it's just not enough to put the pressure on. He's got to get closer. The closer he gets, the more it's going to make that 09 want to make a mistake.
Is it a wait for the last lap? So if there is any lost ground, Dylan Grimm want to be close enough to capitalize it. Grimm still that 8/10 back. 2 laps to go for Diego Valle, June White, James Lowe. The battle of who's moving on to the playoffs. White's trying to help his teammate of Grimm, while Lowe is trying to have his fate in his own hands on who's moving on to the next round of the playoffs. As these two continue to bicker back and forth on who's going to get that position. Lowe's losing time, but off the exit of turn 4, Diego Valle doesn't have to worry about a caution because he's going to deal with the white flag, or freaky fast white flag is in the air for the 68 machine.
Clean and green all night long, 166 laps, 250 miles. It was a great race, but nobody had nothing for this 68, Sam.
No, I mean, he got the pole. He's led the most laps. Almost every lap was Diego Valle. And off the exit of turn 4, he will become the second different winner in the playoffs and booking his ticket to the next round. It's Diego Valle winning the Next Level Racing 250 here at Charlotte. And the battle for second place goes to June White. James Lowe stays in 3rd. Dylan Grimm doesn't advance, but he'll stay in 4th as Zach Wright stays in 10th. It looks to be set and stable, Zach. Kreitz is out and Grimm's in.
That's the way I see it too, Sam. I think Grimm will be in with this. We'll have to, of course, get confirmation on that. But I tell you what, if he's done it, what an excellent race for him, because he had to come through a lot of adversity. Had James Lowe start 3rd. He started from 15th and had his 2 teammates get a 1-2. That 23 really drove the wheels off it tonight.
An incredible race by that of Grimm Roberts Racing, having a 1-2-4 finish for themselves. Lowe was close at moments, but that was only in the first 20 laps of the race. After that, it was all Diego Valle, who gets to enjoy burning it down here tonight. The round of 12 is done, as that of seeing June White just breeze on by. Diego Valle continues to burn it down, but when we come back, we'll talk to our top 3, get the sense of what it's like to finish out tonight's race here at Charlotte. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Next Level Racing 250, the last race of the round of 12 to figure out who's running for the round of 8. We're going to go to Victory Lane, where we talk to the driver that just utterly dominated here tonight. It was untouchable to get to this that a 68 machine. We have Diego Valle with us. Diego, congratulations on the win. Man, that looked just dominant from our standpoint, but what was it like out there in the car?
Well, it was it was a mega race, honestly. I'm kind of a little bit speechless right now because I didn't think I'd go out there and dominate. But I mean, the car was handling really nice. I feel like in the first run it was a little bit looser, and then it tightened up as the night wore on. But we had a bad fast machine, and I just had a handle on her.
That you really did, Diego, man. Congrats on the win. It was fun to watch you go out there and really dominate this race tonight and really take a stranglehold on that the track. I mean, what do you feel like clicked really well tonight for you here at Charlotte?
I mean, everything really clicked. I got pole position to start off with. I was a little bit surprised. I thought someone would I hit me at the line. You know, Robinson is always a late qualifier, always shows up. But I was fortunate to have pole position, and I got a good jump, and I didn't have to deal with any traffic. So that just got me out front and into clean air.
Well, I mean, after tonight's race, got to be feeling high going into the next round. We have New Hampshire and then Kansas coming up. What are your thoughts heading into these two very different style tracks?
Well, I think I showed it tonight. There's a little voice in my head coming into this race that told me I should play it safe. But I think the prevailing thought as I came in and I realized I had the speed was just to go out there and show what I can do. So that's what I'll try and do these next 2 weeks.
Well, we can't wait to see how well you're going to be running these races, Diego. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to y'all. Y'all put on a great podcast every single week. On the production side, on the commentating side, y'all do a fantastic job. So kudos to y'all. Kudos to brand new sponsor, Mathnesium, my workplace. I have a couple of my coworkers watching for the first time. So thank you very much to them. I enjoy my job. I love the difference I make. So I'm happy to have them on the car. Shout out to GSI. Their wheel powered this win. So check them out. Check out the GT Max 32. And shout out to my teammates, June and Dylan, as well as Ryan, who wasn't able to make it tonight. And yeah, shout out to my family as well.
That will be the 68 machine of Diego Valle winning and bunching his ticket into the next round. Congratulations and good luck in the round of 8.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, from victory lane, we go down to second place where we have ourselves June White, who comes away with enough points to move on to the next round with no issues. June, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us?
Loud and clear, Sam.
Well, June, a strong performance by yourself, able to defend and get by James Lowe. Zach and I were looking at the points. It looked like that was the crucial positioning to allow your teammate of Dylan Grimm to move on to the next round of the playoffs. What was it like running there late, knowing that there was a chance of a caution, but if it stayed green, it was all about you holding off that 99?
Yeah, we were doing a lot of math just before the race just to be sure what Dylan needed. And yeah, I think we were pretty aware that we needed the difference between James and Dylan to be one spot. So it was just trying to catch him. Made a little mistake off of pit road, and I thought I threw it away, but did get in that pace right at the end. Did get that pass in, and just super happy because you've seen Dylan the last few weeks. He's at top 5 pace at literally everywhere. So he's definitely as deserving as Diego and I to have a shot at this Final Four. So just happy that we have the pace today to make it happen for him.
It was really great from the whole group. So congrats on that, June. Well, heading into the next round, now that you're into it, how do you feel heading into New Hampshire? I mean, that's definitely a tricky track, I think, for a lot of people. How do you feel about it?
New Hampshire's a pretty tricky track for me as well, but I think I have enough of a points cushion that maybe don't need to be you still need to be trying to battle for the win, but I'm not. I guess I have a little bit more of a cushion, and I can afford to finish 5th or 6th. But these guys are super fast. You never know, so it's just keeping your nose clean, staying out of trouble, making sure we finish decently next week, and then we'll see where we're at heading into Kansas.
Well, June, another strong performance like always here tonight. Congratulations on making it to the next round. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, just wanted to thank first and foremost, always y'all. I always have super high praise when I come here on the broadcast. Y'all have extremely professional broadcasts, extremely exciting. You know, I always say that the fans are getting a great deal out of y'all, and you know, just love to be here, love to have y'all, and also got to shout out my teammates. Dylan has had just a monster run to end this season. It wasn't even certain that he'd make the playoffs, and he just grinded out a bunch of top 5 finishes, and look where he's at now. So I think he's a championship contender. I think all 3 of us are, and I'm super happy to just be putting in the work with these guys. And I think you're seeing where GRR is now. And just want to shout out the Joshes and just all the fans, the people in the Arctic Farm, all the people supporting GRR. It's lovely to have y'all watching, and yeah, just happy to be here.
Well, that's going to be the 09 of June White. Congratulations on a second place finish, and good luck into the next round.
Thank you, Sam.
As we move on from second place, we go down to third, where it's going to be a little bit more of a somber talking too, as we've got James Lowe with us. James, strong performance here tonight, third place finish overall. How are you feeling? I believe off of our calculations, they could be wrong, but unofficially it looks like you might be not making it to the next round. But how are you feeling after tonight's performance?
I mean, it was good. Wish I had the pace of those top 2 guys there, but I just got really loose. And no matter how easy I drove it, I mean, I was just loose all over the place. So I let June by there because I needed the air on the front of my car to help me get through the corners, and it was just kind of conserve third mode at that point. And yeah, overall it was good, and I figured I had to win to get in, so I wasn't too worried about the points. But yeah, good run overall.
Definitely a good run, James, still nonetheless. And if you do come up short, it still was a excellent season for you. But you know, the strategies were a little interesting. We saw certain guys stretch it, you know, a few laps on each other. How did you feel coming in tonight? What your strategy is going to be, and did you stick to that?
Yeah, I had it planned 42, 84, and then kind of go off for the last one. I think I came in at 122 or something, but yeah, I had it planned out and I stuck to it this time around. I've been talked into running long and doing this and doing that, but this week I just decided to just do my own thing, and yeah, it worked out.
Well, James, still a strong season. It's been awesome to watch you perform throughout this season. Sad that you may not be moving on into the next round, but what are you hoping to take with you into these last couple of races in the season?
Really just focus on getting Chris to that championship. That's pretty much all that's on my mind. If we get a winner, maybe 2 in that time frame, great. But if not, just do all we can to make sure he's up there. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Sounds like a solid plan. Well, James, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my boys in the Moonshine Mafia, Chris, Brian, and George. It was rough tonight for all of us. I know my wrists are hurting, and I'm sure they're wore out too. But I'd like to thank my Aunt Mary Alice. I'm sure she's out in the crowd watching. And Nate for letting me join the league. You guys for broadcasting, man. I think you guys are one of the best broadcasters out there by far. So y'all do a great job. And yeah, to all the competitors, man, that was a fight, man. And to not have any cautions was quite impressive.
It certainly was. That will be the 99 machine of James Lowe. Congratulations on third, and good luck on the last couple of races of the season.
Thanks, guys.
As we move on from interviews to take a look at our unofficial results, we're still waiting for official confirmation on who's in or out. But based off of our quick calculations, it looks to be a majority of the 8 drivers that were inside will be moving on. We do know 100% Chris Worrell, as well as Diego Valle will 100% move on in the playoffs, with that of June White, Joshua Robinson, Ross Tatum, Scott Ricker, Kyle McCoy, and taking the last spot should be Dylan Grimm of the 8 drivers that will move on, looking like Zach Kreitz, Kyle Bowling, James Lowe, and Thomas Ogle will be the 4 drivers knocked out of the playoffs. A strong 4. The competition was just too high this season. We had to say goodbye to 4 of them, moving on to the Elite 8. As we take a look at our unofficial results, it goes to Diego Valle in the 68 machine from Grim Roberts Racing that takes the win. His teammate of June White will finish in second, James Lowe in third, fourth. is Dylan Graham with Scott Rickard in 5th. Ross Statham stealing 6th place away. Kyle McCoy in 7th for the 7 Machine. Joshua Robinson 8th. 9th goes to Chris Worrell. And finishing out our top 10, it's Zach Kreitz.
And as we look through the rest of the unofficial results here, Sam, the one that sticks out the most to me, definitely in that 11th position, Thomas Ogle had that big moment in really off turn 4, and it continued in all the way into turn 1 and lost a ton of time. He's going to not be moving on to the next round, and definitely a huge upset for him. Also, Kyle Bolin back in 21st. He's not going to be moving on, so tough nights for 2 playoff contenders there who unfortunately won't be moving along with Zach Kreitz. So it's tough when you get to the end of the road in your playoffs, but man, at the same time, it's always a good accomplishment to make.
For some drivers, it's just to make the playoffs. For others, it's the championship, and we've got ourselves quite a group that looks strong to be taking a championship this season. Well, for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Crazy to say, we've only got one more broadcast next week as we have the Full Send Racing Series taking the week off. ISRC Truck Series, their season is done. Same for Wednesday night for the WSSR. So our next broadcast after tonight will be next week at New Hampshire, the start of a brand new round for these Stars and Stripes drivers. Excited for it. Thank you again for joining with us. My name is Sam Dyer. I had Zach Hall with me at the booth, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. Thank you for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As tonight is done, we have our 8 drivers. Good luck next week, as that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.